Hello, I'm Bud McCord. I'm here in Brazil, South America. This is for Friday, and Friday is our practical day when we're talking about 1 John. Rather than just listening to the scriptures, we're going to go live the scriptures now. Abiding is the perfect discipleship, and a part of abiding is learning how to love your neighbor. And as we abide in Christ, we deliver love. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of trip out of our building where I am right now, and show you my neighborhood where I do a prayer walk. And a prayer walk is a way of blessing my neighbors and getting to know my neighbors. So here we go. I have no idea if this is going to work out well or not. We'll give it a try. But right now we're going to go to the first challenge of my day, which is a strange challenge, and that is leaving the apartment. I have to deal with my one of my small fears, which is an elevator. So let's give it a try. Never been a friend of elevators. I've been stuck here in Brazil in several different elevators. Sure, as I go in this elevator talking about this, you know what'll probably happen. We live on the 7th floor, and it's a large apartment, so we have plenty of room to get around and live together here, Pam and I. So here we go. This is one of my prayer moments too. So when I get into the elevator, I kind of wait and I pray and I give thanks to God for the people who take care of this elevator and make sure it all works. This elevator is 40-something years old. Still works pretty well. Still makes me nervous all the time, every time I get in and out of it. But it's one of those things. I don't like closed-in spaces. I don't like to fly on airplanes, but every time I need to do it, I just say, Jesus, do you want me to do this? And he always says yes, and so I get to do it. This is the ground floor of our building, and it's a beautiful building. 27 families live in this building, and you can see it's really well kept. It's really a beautiful place. Now, one of the problems in Brazil is security. So you're going to see that as I get ready to go out of our building, it looks like I'm getting let out of a jail maybe, because there are problems here with violence. And in fact, you're not even supposed to be walking around in streets filming or you'll lose your phone. But we'll do it again. Bom dia, tudo bem? My friend here. Tá bem. So you can see I'm coming out into my little world here. Gates open, gates closed. So here's, you can see the building behind me. It's called Bosque do Engenho. It's a really wonderful building that God allowed us to find. And, you know, now we're out on the streets in my neighborhood. But I want to get an idea of my little neighborhood. There's beautiful homes, but look what's around us. There's no shortage of people. There's 800,000 people that live in this neighborhood, or in this city. And as we work here in the city, we obviously can't meet all 800,000 people, but we can get to know our neighborhood, get to know the people who live near us. And you can see that it's a very well-kept neighborhood. People who work here, they keep the streets clean, and they're very particular about how they think. The street we happen to live on is a dead-end street, which is helpful because we don't have all the traffic coming through here. Bom dia, tudo bem? Bom dia, tudo bem? Tudo bem? So when we're in the city, every time you see somebody, you're required to say, good morning, good morning, good morning, bom dia, bom dia, bom dia. So these are our neighbors, and we begin to pray for them. And here's the point I really would just like to make, that wherever you live, Christ lives in you, and you can abide in Christ. And I'm convinced that every Christian could live anywhere in the world and be happy and joyful inside, and abundantly delivering love outside if we learn to abide in Christ. And so we have to abide in Christ, and there's a sense in which it doesn't matter where we live inside of ourselves. Christ in me is the hope of glory. So now I'm going to come out here. There's a new building being built. Our neighborhood is old, but all the old buildings are being torn down, and the new buildings are going up. Bom dia. So in our neighborhood here, there's old homes, and then there are the new homes that are going up. Now, crossing the street in Brazil, there's an old saying about Brazil. There's two kind of people: the quick and the dead. The quick and the dead. You really got to pay attention. So this is a main street in our neighborhood. It's houses, businesses. You can always hear people talking loudly. It's like any major city in the world. There's a lot of noise. It's still early. And the business is not yet open, but it's a perfect time for a prayer walk. And a prayer walk is a time when I walk by and ask God to bless the business owners, ask God to bless the families. And over the years, I've gotten to know people here very, very well. There's people that live in this neighborhood that we've known for over 40 years. And so I pray for these people. You know, people get up early, get their cars washed, and they're working hard. There's all kinds of barbershops. There's everything you can imagine. But more than that, there are people who need to be loved and need to be prayed for. And right up here, there's an interesting place. There are, I don't know what you call it in English, it's like an old folks home, a retirement home. And there's one on this side of the street here with the brown front here. There's elderly people there, and then there's this one here that has just come in here to the neighborhood, and there might be 10, 15 people, elderly people living in here, and maybe 10 or 15, and our church will minister to these people. So our church is not far from here, and so people from our community will come in and visit the elderly and the widows and bless them. And I do this. I go by and I pray and ask God's blessings to be on these people. And it really seems to be a blessing for me, and I think for other people. But it also keeps me in tune with the reality of my neighbors. There's a lot going on in this neighborhood. There's a lot of elderly people that are going to be with the Lord, and a lot of new people coming in, and the city is exploding in growth, and there's a lot of opportunities in this city to minister to people. Thank God there's a tremendous number of very effective and good churches in this city. You can hear the people talking to each other, and they're getting their day going. I love living in a neighborhood where you have every social class, and you have all the different people of all the different kinds. And Brazil is a huge melting pot of different kind of people, and they're always cleaning, always cleaning streets and houses and all this. Bom dia. There's a coffee shop right here on the corner, and it's owned by a pastor friend of mine, and it's a wonderful place to well, let me get here again. You're either quick or dead, and so I'm going to go across this road here, and thankfully the real traffic hasn't begun yet. The interesting thing about these coffee places is within a mile of my apartment, there must be 10 bakeries and coffee places And I have become known as the bakery pastor. It's a joke in Portuguese. They see me counseling people all the time. And I don't like to sit in an office. I like to get out. And so when somebody wants counseling and it's not too serious, there's not going to be a lot of tears or anything like that, I will counsel people in the bakery or at the coffee shop. And since everybody knows where these coffee shops are, it's easy for people to find me and me to find them. And I've had the pleasure of counseling hundreds of people in this neighborhood as a part of just living in my neighborhood. And it's really interesting because I've even led people to Christ here in the neighborhood. Abiding in Christ means that right now, as I'm walking on these streets, the Christian life lives in me. This is one of the reasons I wanted to come out and just walk and talk a little bit with you, is you carry within yourself the Christian life, because the Christian life is Jesus Christ. And you don't have to produce the Christian life. You don't have to sustain it. You need to receive it and release it. You don't need to come out into the city with a plan to necessarily evangelize or to set up some sort of an institution. What you need to be is salt and light. You just need to come out of the building, walk around your neighborhood, and just be available to people. And over time, especially if you live in a neighborhood for a long time, people get to know you. And if you treat them really well, they get curious about you. And then if you're really doing well, you can begin to talk to them about Jesus. Here in Brazil, it's super easy to talk about Jesus because the history of this country being a Catholic country, people are certainly in favor of Jesus in the great majority of people here. But to get them to talk about Jesus is not hard. The thing that's a little bit hard is to get them to stop long enough to actually know Jesus in a very deep and a very personal way. So I'm getting out here to one of the main streets. We'll walk a little bit further. And of course, when I do this on my own without a recording, I'll stop in front of different homes of the people that I know. I stop in front of buildings where I know people live. I very personally pray for people. There's several people that I'm praying for in this community that are near the end of their lives. There's others that are young and they're just beginning their lives. It's a really, really great collection of people. I just want to get a little bit farther up here and let you see the main thoroughfare of our city. And to me, this kind of a walk for prayer and to be available in my neighborhood is a part of the ministry. But I would do this anywhere. And you can do this anywhere. You know, if you can't get out and walk, use your memory. Just imagine your neighborhood, your neighbors, your city, and just start praying from building to building, house to house. And you'll begin to see that you are the Christian life. So here is the main drag here in our city. And you can see that I'm going to cross where I'm not supposed to cross, but that's typical of Brazilian culture. And also try to be quick and rather than dead. You get an idea of the little place I live. Only 800,000 people live here. It's a big place. And it's just a fantastic opportunity to be the Christian life made visible and available where I live. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I'll be meeting a pastor for counseling and encouragement at a bakery up here around the corner. And it'll be a great time. Today, I'll be eating lunch with another pastor who is one of the best pastors in all of Brazil. And we're going to be sharing some visions of new things to be done. And people here in these cars next to me, they're my neighbors too. and you have neighbors like this all over the place. Hey, thanks for going on a walk with me and for a time of prayer. God bless you.